And Oliver Wendell Holmes, who was a young medical student at Harvard at the time, he was incensed at the idea that Old Ironsides was going to be taken apart and scrapped after all the service that she had given to the country. And so he wrote a very, very stirring poem that was first published here in Boston and then was picked up by other newspapers in the country. And the poem begins, "I tear her tattered ensign down. Long has it waved on high, and many an eye has danced to see that banner in the sky. Beneath it rung the battle's shout, and burst the cannon's roar. The meteor of the ocean air shall sweep the clouds no more." And he basically says in this poem that if she has to depart, let her depart in a very glorious way. Allow her to go out into her native element and sink beneath the waves.
And he wrote the poem, and it very quickly just flashed across the country, probably faster than the Star Spangled Banner did after Key wrote it in 1814.
Welcome to CP 101, and this is an update on the Constitution. We've got, the last update we had the spar deck finally attached, and got the lights and the gun deck all ready to go. We fixed the light in the cabin, the galley, so it looks a little bit more realistic. It was way too bright the way I had it. So just to recap, all we did was paint the LED black, half of it black, and that really knocked down the light inside of the galley. So it looks a ton better now. But as you can see, we got the veneer on the spar deck. It wasn't too bad. I had an issue with the Canopy 560. I don't know if they changed their formula, but this is the old stuff that I used on the gun deck. I didn't have any issues with this. It worked great. So I bought some more because I don't have enough in here. I bought 2 bottles of it, and they sent me this. And it says, you know, Formula 560, so it should be the same crap that's what's in the old bottle, but I don't know. To me, it didn't work as well. It took a while for this to set up, whereas the old stuff seemed to set up much quicker. But we eventually got it straightened out. We took a lot of weight, had this all filled with bottles of paint to keep weight on it until the canopy glue set. But I have to do all that with a gun deck. It just, I can remember, it seemed like it grabbed right away. This time it took it a while. But it came out pretty good, I think. You know, the deck was 3 pieces. We attached it as 1 piece because of our lighting in the gun deck. And you know, because we're using a veneer, we had to make sure that there were no steps between the 3 separate pieces. So I made flat stock to glue under the seams to try to keep all pieces even between one another. And because, you know, with a veneer, if you have a step between the pieces, then it's really going to show. So I think it looked pretty good. It looks pretty good. I mean, I think it did a pretty good job of trying to keep it somewhat level between all 3 pieces. And yeah, with the veneer over it, you can't tell that it's a 3-piece deck. But so we glued the veneer on. We stained it using the same stain we used on the gun deck, this Parathane Early American. And let it sit for a day, and then I went back with polyurethane clear, a Minwax, and put 2 coats on it, and I think it's going to be it. And it's still wet, so I just put the 2nd coat on, and I think that's going to be it. It's shiny enough. I had to sand it before I added the 2nd coat of polyurethane. There was a roughness to it. So I really had to be careful because, you know, this stuff is pretty thin. You know, this is a piece I punched out, which was right here. So you see how thin it is, so I didn't want to sand any of the planking detail off. And so I had to be really, really gentle when I sanded it, but I had to get that roughness out of it before I put my second coat of clear on it. I think that's going to be it though, because I'm really afraid to do any more sanding for fear of ruining the veneer. So I think I'm just going to leave it. I think it's shiny enough. Then it'll be perfect. So we got that. We got all the hatches painted. This one was fun, trying to get half white, half wood tone where all the lifeboats go. But I think we did a fairly good job of freehanding that. So we got that taken care of. We've got the back part, the stern, the galley. We finally got that glued to the hull now. We've got it raised up and glued. Let me lower the camera a little bit so you can see it. There we go. So we finally got that raised up and glued, attached. And then there's a back piece right here that you're supposed to glue on to this and then raise it up and glue it to the hull, but I'm doing it differently because I remember it's not a very good fit back here, and I think you can get a better fit by adding this back piece after it's glued onto the ship. So I gotta just paint, this gets painted black. One side gets painted the hunter green, the other side gets painted black. I still gotta paint this back black back here. But the problem I have with this back piece is that it's not wide enough. It should go from side to side, yet it has a good sized gap on each side, about 1/8 of an inch on each side. So I might have to add some styrene and make this a little wider so it goes from side to side, not have a gap like it does. I don't know. I just know it doesn't, to me it don't look right. But so you might do that and add that in there. You can kind of see the gap there. It's like it's not wide enough. But that's where we're at on the Constitution. So now I'm going to let this sit for a couple days to make sure it's good and dry before I mess with it. And continue on. I think the next step, we're up to step number what, 7? Yeah, step number 7, which is the ship's wheel and the capstan. We got the base of the capstan glued on. I got the capstan painted, just have to clear it, but that'll get put on up here like so. Be careful here. We can put on there like so. And the ship's wheel will go back here. And that'll take us to number 8, which is if you've already done. And then number 9 is putting all the eye bolts and pin rails and cleats on the spar deck, and there's a bunch. You can see it right here, all the eye bolts we're going to have to put on, and that'll be fun. So we got to do that next. That'll take us, as I said, all the way up to step number 9. So, yeah. So far, so good. I think it's looking pretty good. Alright guys, take care. We'll see you in the next video.